What's up, y'all? Today I am packing some gear for a gig tomorrow, but I'm meaning to make a YouTube video for a while now. I just have yet to have the time. I'm a busy fellow, what can I say? But that's a good thing, right? This year has been quite a wild ride for gigs and such, with just how busy and non-busy I've been. Q1, I know it's kind of like Q2 now. I want to do like a Q1 check-in, but I know it's kind of late, but Q1 was definitely kind of weird for me. It was a little abnormally slow. Usually I have some things here and there, but it was definitely really slow. Didn't pick up until probably like March, April-ish. But once it did, oh, it did. Which, like I said, I'm very grateful. It's a good thing. I was able to keep busy. I had probably mid-April till now, which it's like June 4th as of recording this video. Just been back to back busy. I finally had like a week or so to kind of like recoup this past week, which has been nice and definitely needed. So it's starting to get a little crazy. I needed some time off just to like recalibrate. It was like the longest stint I've done to where I've just been go, go, go. But here I am. Biggest update, kind of just been like saving money and spending money for some new gear to update. One of the biggest things I wanted to update was this guy, which is my classic A7 III. It still works fine. Still take pictures with it. Still do plenty of gigs with it, especially my W2 reoccurring client, as well as musician stuff, live shows, etc. But the main thing I wanted to do was upgrade that body, get something that is not only newer, that has better autofocus and all those abilities, but also something that finally could actually shoot more than 30 minutes without having to cut, but also, 4K, 24, 30, and then 60. 120 would be preferred, but I compensated for a cheaper camera that I got that doesn't have that ability, which is fine because I don't really need that. I have the FX6 to obviously do that. But so what I decided to do was decided to finally just go with a trusty old A7 IV. I got this guy used off of Facebook Marketplace, and it honestly took me a while to actually pull the trigger on this guy. I was very, very much worried that I was making the wrong decision grabbing this guy, but honestly, I kind of took the words and advice of a couple different people with talking with them. I put some polls up on Instagram and stuff like that, and then as well as just watching some YouTube videos from David Winters as well as David Moorfield, and a lot of talk about just like ROI on gear, and that was kind of a thing that I was thinking about in my head too, is that, realistically, I was looking at something like the A7iv. I would have loved to get that camera, but I think new, after tax, it's going to be around like $3,000, right? So I was thinking about it, but realistically, I was like, spending all that money, even like an FX3, let's say, sure, those bodies do kind of make their money back, relatively speaking, but on the surface level here, I didn't want to spend $3,000 on something that I really can't put on an invoice. That's one of the main reasons I swapped over to an FX6 right here, is because this guy at least will always return on my investment, because I could put this on an invoice and make anywhere from $100 to $300 for the kit, depending on the gig and, how much they actually want to pay me for it. But this is kind of what it looks like now. I want to make a video kind of like going over my whole rig situation here. But this guy, I've invested a lot of time and money into this. Kind of looks like a fucking mess right now, but I swear it's clean and it works great. I recently also got the Bright Tangerine Titan arm there, which has been a great addition. I keep a pair of headphones on here. I got the Condor Blue V-mount plate on there as well, attached just by some upper 15 mil rails. And I just love this camera. You know, it's like, it's so easy to use. It pays itself back tenfold. I guess a little like side story. Originally I had the FX3. I ended up using it for probably like 2-3 years, and I just always wanted the 6. I started thinking more business-like when I was considering this guy, and I was like, you know what? I am nowhere near in the financial place to be able to jump up to an FX6. So what I did was I just put my 3 up for sale on Facebook Marketplace and was just like, let's see what happens. You know, put it up there, see what kind of numbers I can get. I'm not worried. I'm not pressed. Just see what happens. So after doing that, probably like a day to 3 days in, I can't remember off the top of my head, but a day to 3 days in, I'm in Jersey, so I ended up meeting up with a guy in Hoboken, which is right by the water, right by the city. Sold it to someone who was interested, along with like a V-mount plate and some other bits and bobs, and ended up making $4,000 off of that camera, which is insane. Same day, I was messaging and met up with someone in the city who was selling the FX6 for $45. So I was saving some gear money just for, I think, like a lens or something like that, which I do still need to get at some point. But I had the extra $500 laying around. I just sold this camera. I was like, fuck it. Why not? So literally same day, I sold my 3 to this one guy, went into the city, and bought the 6 the same day. Had like sub 100 hours on it. And I mean, it's been a great camera ever since. So I mean, it returned on my investment even quicker because I didn't pay much for it. I paid $500 out of pocket, pretty much. So I made my money back even quicker than someone who would buy this new. So great money maker. Would always invest in a higher end cinema camera like this because you can start charging on an invoice. That's the beef. That's the beef I have with a lot of these mirrorless bodies, is with the technology and what the output standards are for media nowadays. It doesn't make sense to buy like an A7iv or an FX3 and spend 3, 4, 5 grand. Now, would I love an FX3 to match the 6 and be able to have the same settings, not have to worry about that stuff? Sure, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things with the 4 that is a big compromise, and I'm probably gonna have to get like an external fan for it, but like the overheating issue with that guy. You know, it's gonna be my B cam for video, but that's one of the issues I kind of have to overcome, and is one of the compensations with getting that camera, is that it has an overheating issue, and you kind of have to worry about that when you're shooting long form interviews, for example. So I'm hoping with just getting one of like the small rig or something like that, external fans that you could put on the back, that will kind of solve the issue. But the main reason I went with the 4 was because I got it for such a reasonable price too. You know, like the 3, like I said, probably after taxes around like $3,000. I got the 4 for 14 cash in hand, which like, it's not bad. And for what I get out of it, I needed a hybrid body that could do photo, which this does great, and then video that has the more up-to-date specs, which it does. So it's like, I can't really complain. Plus, for example, even if I did have that 3,000 and I bought this camera, that leaves me with, you know, an extra 1,500 or so for other gear that I need to invest in, like lights. You know, I'm planning on investing in trying to get like a 700X and, you know, maybe some more stands or a client monitor, that type of stuff, a new lens. So that's kind of what's been rambling around in my mind lately, is just like, sure, there's plenty of gear that I want to get, but I need to focus in on what gear is going to actually have an ROI and make me money. So where even a light, for example, like the 700X, you know, sure, you can rent out your gear. That's not for me personally, but for example, like the 600X, I've seen those things rent for only like 50, 60 bucks a day, to where a lot of the times the ROI on those lights really isn't that great. Just like being able to shoot 4K 60, 4K 120, that's the expected standard nowadays, to have a 600 plus watt light in your kit. So it's a very 50-50, both sides of the coin situations, where I'm like, well, I don't want to spend all this money on something, especially when it's not going to really necessarily make me more money, but I also kind of need it to do my job for a lot of the jobs out there. I've been doing pretty well right now. In my kit, I have like a 300X, an F22X, and like a 60 watt and a tube. And I mean, that's been getting me pretty far. Here and there, I'll rent like a 600 for some stuff if I definitely need it, but it would be more of just like not only the standard, but ease of use, not having to rent it anymore to have like a high powered light. Previously I had a 500 nan light, which was great. It was only daylight balanced. It was small, compact, and nice, but now switching over to aperture mainly and having all that app control and everything, it's great. And I'm just like, why am I gonna spend $1,000 plus for a 600X when I can spend an extra couple hundred and get the 700X, which is more powerful, better features, etc. So that's been my main thing on my mind lately, is just trying to figure out what makes the most financial sense to invest in, to where it's not just, ooh, a shiny piece of gear that makes my life easier. It's something that will actually bring in my business more income. Last year, just as like a quick recap for Q1, did pretty well last year. It was good. I made the most money that I've made ever doing this freelance stuff. This is like year 2 or 3 I've been doing this. Most of my jobs, 50% of it around, were just basically like for hire, which is fine. You know, that's like the bread and butter that I usually do for corporate and stuff. Another like 20-30% was like shooting bands on the weekends. And then 15% or less was naturally like me finding a client and taking them A to Z of onboarding them, hiring freelancers, and then taking it into the edit and finishing it. So I definitely want to grow that branch of my business more, try to be more production company agency style on some stuff. I still love getting hired out just for one-off gigs. I'll still always do that, but I definitely want to start facilitating more stuff as well. I think that not only brings in more income, but sharpens a lot of other skills that and muscles, I guess, in a way that I'm not exercising as often as I'd like to be. So in doing that, that'll allow me to work with more people, new clients, and kind of exercise those muscles, bring on friends that I love working with, and basically feed the whole family, right? I get to not only feed myself and my family, but have some friends on and stuff and make some cool stuff for clients. So that's kind of what's been going on with me. That's how my first and second-ish quarter has been going. Stuff has been picking up. It's, you know, comes in waves like it does, but hopefully this was helpful to some of you guys. I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on what you think of with gear as well as ROI when it comes to gear. What do you guys prioritize? What makes sense for you? Are you in the gear acquisition syndrome phase? Or are you in like the full-on business mindset? I think that's always like the hard part about this stuff, is trying to think about a lot of business, but also trying to be creative at the same time. So love to hear your guys' thoughts. Did I make a mistake buying the A7 IV? Let me know. I guess we'll see, but I'll see you guys in the next video.